I'm a weird bird in more ways than one. The good sort of weird, I guess. Like a prodigy on learning languages or whatever. That's what all my college professors said. But I think everybody, unlike me, and I'm unrelatable to most people. I mean, other than death and taxes and suffering, I don't have much in common with most people. Which you can say that's a good or a bad thing. But I think everybody kind of falls into a pigeonhole somewhere in life. And then we're like those people, not me. We're all kind of surrounded with other people that think alike, and I never fell into any pigeonhole like that. I wanted to make a video on elitism, and of course there's two types of elitism. There's something else that's aversion, that's often confused with elitism, and I have an aversion to something, and it's a good thing to have an aversion to this, but like when I went to Chicago, because my ex-girlfriend, I'm not, stereotyping Chicago here or nothing like that, but in other R cities, everything is extremely cliquish. Like if you're a rich socialite, I mean, you don't even dare say hello to, Joe Blow that's, of lesser wealth or whatever, and that's sort of a lid. I found that, I've been to plenty of rich places, like Naples, Florida is way more wealthy than Chicago is, way more, and that's just south of my house in Fort Myers, Naples, Florida. But there's not that sort of elitism, like super rich person pulls up in a Lamborghini, they'll, shoot the breeze with, some, regular Joe type. I mean, there's elitism everywhere, so I'm not trying to stereotype that, but I was actually surprised. It was extremely cliquish and extremely elitist in Chicago, and it was a beautiful city. I met some people like, wow, I watch your videos, oh, that's so cool, I learned so-and-so about photography, and that was really nice. But I get along fine with rich or poor people. I mean, I don't mind, getting up to my elbows in the dirt of life, getting, dirty doing some job that someone else considers beneath them. There's certain things that I'm happy to not do. I mean, it sounds funny, but one of the greatest luxuries to me is, I know I'm fat, I need more exercise, obviously, but I find it the greatest luxury, and I know I never eat out, which some people consider a luxury, is pay someone else to mow the yard. I'm just so busy all the time. I don't want to do that. I don't mind sweating, which obviously you can't tell by how fat I am, right? But used to be in great health, but obviously not anymore. But I get along fine with the super rich or super poor. I don't get along with people and I spent many years in college, University of Kentucky, several years, Southeast Center for Photographic Studies, 2 years there, so I'm plenty educated, but I don't get along with so-called educated people. Because more often than not, this is factually true, they're extremely unintelligent and extremely unwise. But because of that education or the BA or BS that they got, they think they are somebody or something. So I don't get along with them. I don't get along with academicians because they're nowhere near as intelligent as they think they are, and in most cases they are extremely foolish, extremely unintelligent, and extremely unwise. People, unfortunately, confuse education with intelligence, and they're completely unrelated. Filling your head with useless empirical facts is no different than, Siri having the answer to all the fundamentally useless facts that all of us, ask our iPhones about. If you have an iPhone, that is. There are those that are both unintelligent and unwise. So these are the only ones that I actually don't get along with because they cherish what is profane and they cherish ignorance. Anyway, getting on the two types of elitism, one is class-based, and of course class is an arbitrary ephemera which ultimately doesn't exist. You are taught and bred to think, and as you're brought up, when I say bred, I mean brought up, acting a certain way and talking a certain way. I mean, in England, like, hello, governor. It'd be like some sort of low-class street urchin, right, I guess. I'm partly English, and there's a different caste or class that talks in a certain way in England, and we have that in America to a lesser degree. But I mean, people try to discern that in others. So, and human beings have an extremely fond desire to pigeonhole things and pigeonhole people, and that's a huge failing of all of humanity. We like to pigeonhole some based on what sort of car they drive, how they talk, or whether they're crass or not. Sitting there, eating a cheeseburger instead of cutting up the fine creme brulee, with a knife, and all of these sort of irrelevancies of life that have no bearing. I mean, that is, of course, the most profane and fundamental type of elitism when we think of the word elitism. Another type of elitism, or the secondary type of elitism, is education-based, which is absolutely not intellect, and it is absolutely not wisdom. And it is the case that most, college grads are deep in debt, and they're dirt poor, and they're eating McDonald's, and, but they think that they're the intelligentsia. They think they know better than everybody else, and, you're not educated. I have a BA. I studied, doesn't matter. That's not intelligence at all. Some of the richest people on earth that most people consider to be highly intelligent. I mean, they dropped out of college, or they didn't even go to college at all. I mean, William Shakespeare never went to college. Plato didn't go to college. There was no college back then. Education, we are brainwashed as kids to believe that you need to go to college. You want a good job, you need to go to college. And there are good paying jobs by going to college. You become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Of course, doctors are the second leading cause of death after cancer. And that's all well and fine, but most people need to go to trade schools. They need to learn how to do something and build something. All these highly educated yet extremely unintelligent and extremely useless people that are not productive members of society in any way, shape, or form, they're burdened with debt, and they have a lead anchor hanging around their neck for the rest of their life. Anyway, I'd like to get to the last one, which is aversion, which is not elitism at all, and I do have an aversion. There are people that are profane, and I'm not talking about the way they speak. They're profane in that they worship what is base and evil. I mean, they're the most crass of the crass. These are people that will, there's an old saying that says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. If you hang out with people that cherish, what is crass and profane, like, getting drunk and partying and engaging in debauchery. I'm not against anybody having a good time, but engaging in debauchery and substance use, I mean, it's just a bottomless spiral right to the very bottom. And I do have an aversion to that, but that's not elitism. I actually feel proud of the fact that, I'm as happy to hang out, with, they could be illiterate, good old country folk. These are people that could read signs and read tracts, and they know the ways of nature. Some of them, not all of them. I mean, there are, there's debaucherous on either side. I mean, you could be highly educated and debaucherous, engage in love of the profane, or you could be highly uneducated and illiterate and engage in debaucherous profane. But that's aversion against that. But I'm not an elitist at all. I don't believe, I've never been desirous to hang out with rich people. I know a few millionaires, and I know more than a few millionaires. And they're extremely tight and extremely greedy. The greediest people I know are the ones that actually have the most money. And I never ask these people for money. I don't. But I'm happy to get along with anybody, whether they be rich or poor, or whether they be illiterate or not. I don't. There are people look down on me. I mean, it's much less so now. But back in the day, you have a lot of tattoos. Like, oh my gosh, they just thought you were the sleaze of the earth. People still think that to a large degree, depending on where you are. Like up in Chicago, I mean, they see your tattoos from a mile away, and they're so cliquish. Really, really, really cliquish. I found that surprising. I asked other people that are natives of Chicago, I said, was it just me or did I have, like a shocker that people are so cliquish? I was like, yeah, you're right. They are really cliquish up here. Like, wow, okay. Um, Fundamentally, everybody is the same by nature. And rich or poor doesn't make anybody more intelligent or more wise. And education is not intellect and it is not wisdom either. Um, the most evil people on earth, not my opinion, are always people that are highly intelligent. I mean, not highly intelligent, highly educated, and they're very charismatic. They are master manipulators. They, big time education, but they have no wisdom at all. And they use their charisma and their education to manipulate, and they are always the sources of the greatest evil this earth has ever seen. They always are. Uneducated people that others consider unsophisticated. Those are never the the great dangers of the world. They never have been. Anyway, we all want to pigeonhole each other and put each other at arm's length distance. Society, unfortunately, wants to do that. I'm not a fan of elitism. The only true elitism is wisdom versus love or desire or debauchery towards what is profane, what is directed at darkness, what is directed at downfall. That's the only true, and that's a metaphysical elitism. In which case, I guess I am an elitist, but that's an aversion. That's not elitism. Anyway, I really wanted to talk about this topic because I love talking about things that other people don't talk about, especially on YouTube. But hope you have a lovely day. Goodbye.